Hey guys, welcome back to the Winner Circle. It's your girl Tiffany. Before we get started, remember to like, subscribe, and comment below. I am joined today by my special guest. You guys asked for him. He was so great the last time, very informative, and to describe him, concise. It is Mohamed Iman. Thank you for joining me again. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you,
Um,
Tiffany.
we have developed such a good relationship via Twitter and these live feeds and after the podcast. So we chat a lot about stuff, and I was like, you know what, just come on back, come on over, and let's chat about it.
I'm down
So
whenever.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So we're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover the HOH. We're going to cover the veto and the conversations that have been had. So we know from last episode that Michael won HOH. His targets were Terrance and Alyssa. And then there are some conversations around his nominations and Terrance being a big part of having conversations this week. He honestly was kind of, for half of a second, he was tolerable because he was, having conversations. I felt like, all right, Terrance, I do like to see somebody playing the game. He is playing the game. If he could keep his personal comments to himself, then that would be fine. But let us talk about what we saw. So, what did you see, Mohammed?
So obviously Kyle got evicted on Thursday. Once Kyle got evicted, they started the HOH comp. Michael beasted through that, beat everybody as predicted. So he was
First of
HOH.
all, Michael belongs in the Olympics, not on Big Brother. I just felt the need to
Yeah,
say that.
he's making it look easy. You can tell who's going to win
Yes.
every single competition pretty much, especially if it involves some sort of physical or skill. As long as it's not luck based, Michael is
Yeah.
pretty much a top pick on who's going to win that HOH or that veto.
For sure.
So yeah, he won HOH. The conversations after he won HOH weren't really that important because he pretty much already had it in his head. He was going to put up Terrance and Alyssa. Um, Michael has been very hesitant on taking the first shot because with Monty and Turner both in the game, he knows if he takes the first shot, one of them is going to be available and he can't play in the next HOH. And I don't think he feels
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with Brittany and Taylor winning the next competition to kind of save him. So he's kind of been
Yeah.
playing pretty chill when it comes to
I mean,
taking that
has
shot.
Brittany won any competitions that Michael has not helped her win?
No,
Okay.
I don't
So,
even think she's coming close to any of them that Michael hasn't let her or helped her win.
yeah.
Yeah, so even when she kind of pitches him other ideas, he kind of stays firm on what he wants to do because at the end of the day, it's his butt on the line, and he's not going to put it in her hands to save him, type of thing. So he,
That is something I've noticed about Michael. When he has an idea and he wants to do something, he's a really good listener. He allows you to sit down and get your thoughts out, your point across, and he'll play with those ideas. But at the end of the day, he's going to stick to the decision that he had without making you feel like you weren't heard. That's good. That's
Michael for sure likes to have control or say on what's going to happen, um, but he does it so nicely. Like you said, he'll
yes.
listen to you, he'll take your ideas, he'll entertain it, but then at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, he'll bring it back full circle to exactly what he wanted to begin with, and he'll get you to kind
Yes.
of agree with it.
See why his decision was better. Yeah.
Exactly. And we'll get into one of those conversations down the road that he ends up having where he kind of does the same thing.
Okay.
But yeah, nominations, he puts up Terrance and Alyssa, pretty straightforward. And then
Yeah.
that's when kind of things pick up. So once he puts up Terrance and Alyssa, as soon as the feeds come back, Terrance is in the HOH room with Michael, not happy at all. So
Mm-hmm.
Terrance is having this conversation with Michael. Michael is telling him, hey, I asked you if people were throwing my names out. You told me that they weren't, when other people have
Mm-hmm.
confirmed to me that, people were trying to target me last week and that you're one of the people trying to target me. And he also brought up during the slip and slide veto, Terrance said something along the lines of, well, there goes plan A when Michael won. So
Yes.
he kind of throws that back in Terrance's face. And then Terrance is like, well, even if that was plan A, I wasn't in power. I was in HOH. So who do you think came up with that plan? So
Mm.
started kind of throwing Turner under the bus, letting him know, like, hey, I was just following a plan that other people came up with because when we all came back into the house from Direfest, everybody said the plan is to backdoor you. Every one of them.
Why would Terrence say that though? Did he not think Michael was going to hear him? Why did he say that?
He, so that's the thing with Terrance. That's
He think
exactly
it was funny? Was that some DJ Showtime move or something? Like,
that,
what was that?
that's the thing with Terrance is as soon as his butt's on the line, he's going to throw anybody and everybody under the bus. So
Okay.
I always knew that was going to happen. The whole Direfest thing, whenever his life was on the line, that everything that happened at Direfest, how everything went down was always going to come out. It's
Oh
why,
yeah.
yeah, it's really why I wanted like
Yeah, Terrence is a snitch.
100%,
He
a
ain't going to
hundred
jail for
percent.
nobody. Don't do no crimes
He
with
had
him.
he has no
Yes,
loyalties to anybody.
none.
Yeah, so he told Michael everything. He told him about the plan that Turner pretty much was trying to backdoor him. Alyssa was in on it. Kyle was in on it. And he's like, well, if everybody was down for the plan, why am I the one that's getting punished? And Michael, pretty reasonable, was like, well, Kyle is no longer here. I made
Hmm.
Turner a promise last week that I can't put him up. So that leaves you and Alyssa, the two people I put up. And
Sounds reasonable.
exactly.
And you executed the plan, sir. So,
Yep, you were all the way in on that plan. But then Terrance is like, well, you should go back on your word to Turner. So he's pretty much trying to tell him to backdoor Turner, still target Turner. You should get Turner out. As soon as Turner is able to play next week, if he wins HOH, he's going to take a shot at you again. So,
and Michael is not worried because Michael says, I will win all the vetoes I need.
exactly. Michael doesn't seem threatened by anybody.
No, because who's beating him in the competitions? Like Taylor's coming close, but
I mean,
you know,
according to Monty, if you put a ball in his hands,
we
it's
don't
fair.
want to know about his balls. We talking about the things that matter. Monty, just because you have sat up there and played with balls and that's the only thing you are good at does not mean that they have to put those comps in Big Brother. This is a challenge. These are challenges that anybody can win. And you've proven that you can just win letter opening competitions and mint julep pushing down wooden tables. Other than that, you have no real skill.
He even
That's why he's still there. It's
exactly.
like you see Monty and you think, oh my God, big threat. You watch him play and you're like, a threat value of Alyssa.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to win anything. He didn't even come close. Even on the slip and slide, Michael was like, I thought Monty was going to be a lot better at that than he was. Like he was disappointed. It seemed like that Monty was so bad at it.
Yeah, we all are. I really thought when do you remember first HOH when he had to put that drum set together and he was moving so slow. I was saying, yeah, he's definitely trying to throw
Yeah,
this so he doesn't seem to be the threat. Like no one is really putting in their best effort to go so slowly.
yeah,
But now that I look back on it, like I think that was the best he had to give. He was really trying.
yeah. I always thought the same thing. Like, oh, Monty's throwing these HOHs. He can turn it on like X did. And
No.
yeah, He hasn't been able to do
No,
it.
sorry, X. I did say at one point that Monty was playing a better Xavier game than Xavier. I had to take that back. Hey, sometimes you say things and you're wrong. It's nothing wrong with being it's nothing wrong with being wrong when you can admit that you're wrong. And I was wrong. I'm so sorry, X.
Yep. So he hasn't been able to beat him at anything.
Yeah.
So that conversation with Terrance and Michael ends up going down another path, and Terrance brings up the issue of last week. He was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Michael, like I didn't like the timing of when you and Brittany divulged this information. You guys
Mm-hmm.
sat on it. You guys waited to use it when it was best serving for you. And those are things you're going to have to answer for in jury. He was like,
Yeah.
my game here is pretty much done. Like, I'll remove myself from the game. Now, the second part of the game for me is going to be in jury. And that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at is why did you guys get all
Tainting
that
it.
information? And why did it
Mm-hmm.
come out at the time it came out? So
Mm-mm.
Michael did the same explanation he always does, like, hey, I didn't want to say anything without Kyle being present because I wanted to give him a chance to defend himself. Um, we were trying to verify the information. You know,
Ooh.
I didn't share this information pre-noms because they would have been like, oh, he's just trying to throw Kyle under the bus and save himself. He was like, I didn't divulge this information when Brittany and Taylor got put on the block because then it's like, oh, he's trying to save Brittany. He was like, I didn't share this information pre-veto, or if I would have lost veto, because then it would have been Michael knows he's getting backdoored, so now he's just throwing Hail Marys trying to save himself. He was like, so I told this information after I won veto and I was already safe. So it's not like,
Michael has dotted all of his I's and crossed all of his T's.
yeah, I said it.
He has thought of every explanation and like he is playing advanced chess.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's so many steps ahead of what you can come back and say because I've already figured out my answer, whether it is the answer, the right answer, what you are want to hear. He's already figured out the answer to each scenario you can present to him about why he did something
Yep. That's one of the things.
and the combat.
Yep. That's one of the things I gave him credit for at the beginning is he always had plausible deniability. So even if
You
Kyle
did say
ever
that.
tried to throw him under the bus, he could always argue against it. So like if Kyle would have tried to throw him under the bus, like, hey, he wanted to take a shot, I was gonna take a shot. Michael was always, gonna take a shot. Michael could just always be
Mm-hmm.
like, I had Monty on the block, week 5, everybody wanted him out. I didn't take the shot. I had Monty on the
Mm.
block during Big Brochella. If I wanted to take a shot, I could have took a shot. I didn't. I stayed loyal to the leftovers. So it doesn't matter what he was
Mm-hmm.
telling Kyle about what we should do. The fact that he never acted on it gives him plausible deniability. He could always just say, that's not true, because
Yeah.
if I wanted to do that, I had multiple opportunities to do it and I never did it. Same thing here. It's like
Okay.
the best thing he could have did was tell everybody as soon as it happened. The second best thing he did
Yeah.
was waiting until after he won veto. I always figured
Mm-hmm.
him
Because he was safe.
exactly. Whereas if he would have been getting backdoored, then it would have sounded desperate. If he would have lost veto and then told people, it would have came on as desperate, like, hey, now he's trying to save himself. He's trying to throw Kyle under the bus. And now he's just kind of making up stories to see what sticks. So he leveraged it
Mm-hmm.
to where even though it still was distasteful, he could at least have some sort of saving grace by saying, I was safe, Brittany was safe. And
Yeah.
that's when I told,
I wasn't using it. I wasn't using it for it to be saved. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. So that Terrance was on fire about that. And he went to Monty about that conversation too.
yeah,
And then Monty and Terrance sat in the car room and straight dragged Taylor about how she's sticking with Brittany and Michael and how it doesn't make sense. And um, Terrance doesn't know why he can't get her to see keeping him is better than Alyssa. And I mean, they really went on a whole rampage about Taylor not thinking things through and
They got really,
why wouldn't she want to work with them, the competitors,
yeah,
over Michael and Brittany, and they're using her and she doesn't see it. When Monty and Terrance have been the least trustworthy and loyal to Taylor this entire time. And because they feel like they need her now, it's like, well, we're going to tell you this and you should come and work with us.
yeah.
Who can't win?
It's all self-serving.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
self-serving.
they want Taylor on their side to go against Michael and Brittany. They know that Taylor's in a good spot. Like Monty wasn't going after her, Michael and Brittany aren't going after her. So it's kind of like, hey, F your game, come help our game out type of thing. And
It's interesting because didn't Terrance mention something about um, now I see why the cookout had to play the way they had to play last season.
he's
Um,
been using
it's so,
it's the same thing that Amira did that kind of bothered me
yeah.
is they were all Amira especially was saying there ain't no cookout, like I'm
Mm-hmm,
all good with putting up two black people, like I don't care, yada yada. And then when she was on the block with Terrance, all of a sudden she was the first one to say, "Oh, now I understand why the cookout existed." When she's talking to Taylor, trying to play the race card to her benefit
mm-hmm.
now, when she didn't care about it when it was Taylor in that same position. Now
Yeah.
Terrance is doing
And
the same thing.
because Terrance has said I'm a black man so many times, I was like, is he? We don't know that.
He's the same guy. Taylor was on the block next to Nicole. He was trying to flip the votes on Taylor to send her home and keep Nicole. It was the
Mm-hmm.
same guy after all the problematic things Kyle said and did last week. He was trying to keep Kyle and send
He
home
was.
Taylor, talking
Mm-hmm.
about, it's best for Kyle to learn while he's here at the
Mm-hmm.
expense of the black woman. So he was ready to
Mm-hmm.
kick her out to keep Kyle. Now that he's in this situation, he's saying, I don't know why
Help me,
black people
please.
don't work together. This is kind of like a microcosm of society where we're against each other rather than with each other. Um, Same thing he's been pitching
Hmm.
today, telling Monty and Taylor, us three can work together. We can do some damage. And then just once again bringing up the race card when it's to your benefit. But this entire
Yeah.
season, you've been trying to keep other people and send home the black woman. So it's extremely
That you want
contradictory.
to keep you this week.
Exactly. He's the same guy. They said that conversation you're talking about in the car room. They said a lot of problematic comments. Terrance even said something along the lines of Michael and Brittany are like pimping Taylor out.
They okay, because they used a different term at first, and then Monty says, like my daddy used to say, pimping.
Yeah.
They pimping her.
Yep.
I said they not pimping her. Now, what you trying to do? You trying to recruit like you pimping, but you ain't even got nowhere to put nobody.
Yep. Like at the end of the day, Monty wanted Taylor out at some point. Terrance,
Week 1, but go ahead.
yeah, week 1. Even week 2, he
Yes.
wanted her gone over Pooch as well. He wanted her gone weeks 1, week 2. Terrance, as late as last week, wanted her out. Michael, other than the very beginning of the season, I don't remember Michael actually wanting Taylor out.
They're not wanting, but maybe would be fine as long as it wasn't him.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they were actively trying to get her out. And
targeting. Mm-hmm.
and they're mad
Michael
that she
wasn't
would
targeting
rather
her.
work with Michael and Brittany than them, who just wanted her out, Terrance, last week. So
And I know people will say like, "Oh, Tiff, I thought you was like Team Monty." Let me just pump your brakes for a second right there. What I've said, if you listened and you followed along, I liked that he was singing the light. I did like the direction he was moving in with protecting, talking game, um, m- treating her with kindness and respect like a human. I liked to see him crushing on her. I still think that he has a crush, but I think he has been crushed. I think his
Yeah,
feelings have been crushed. And I think that we're seeing um, him act and speak from an emotional state, which is very unattractive on him. Like you said to me, his his thinking and his logic where Taylor is he's thinking the right way when he thinks about keeping her and talking to her and talking game and sharing these things. But then when his feelings get hurt, when she's not like whatever he how responding how he wants her to respond to him emotionally on a I don't even think it's game but on a non-game level, then he gets his feelings hurt and attacks her game behind her back. But then he always seems to come back to her.
it's weird. It's kind of like week one where he didn't talk to Taylor about the situation. He just kind of full force ran with it, believed it, didn't think twice about it, and just kind of discredited Taylor. Those things
Mm-hmm.
always seem to come back around because it's like every time he hears anything about Taylor, he seems to run with it. And then if he
Mm-hmm.
has a conversation with her, then he kind of dials it back. And it's just a circle. If he hears something, he'll
But then
want.
the conversation takes so long. He'll hear something, he'll get emotional about it, he'll talk to several other people about it, throw her under the bus. Then something like clicks in his mind at some point. Then he sits down, then he talks to her. And it's not all the emotion that he had
Hmm?
talking to everybody else. He actually will sit and talk to her as if they are actively working together, and it becomes so confusing. But she is holding her own because she has not changed the way she deals with him from week one when she realized, or week two, whenever she realized it was him that was not in her corner. She's kept him at arm's length, and I think she does try to include him in working some of her plan, but he wants her to promise him to the end. And she's
That's,
already promised that to somebody else.
yeah, Taylor is pretty straightforward. It kind of reminds me of like Oz's game. Like she doesn't want to make
Mm-hmm.
too many promises that she's going to want to break. She knows
Yep.
her ideal final two is Brittany. So
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want to make another one because she knows she's going to have to go back on one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
she's promising Monty final four. She's promising Monty final three because she wants Michael gone prior to final three. So
I would too. Taylor can beat Monty and Britt
exactly. And I think
in
both of
final
them,
three.
well, I don't know now that everybody starts to see Brittany as a weaker player. Now Monty might take Brittany, but before that would have been Monty would have took Taylor, Brittany would have took Taylor, Taylor would have took probably Brittany. So that would have been her
Mm-hmm.
best situation. So her, I don't think he likes the fact that he doesn't have control over her.
Of
He doesn't like
course.
the fact
That's
that
definitely what he doesn't like.
because
Yes. He
Turner,
doesn't like that he does not have control over her.
exactly. That's why he gets along with Turner so much is because Turner is like he's a bros bro. Like he'll listen to his fellow man or whatever. It's the same thing with
Mm-hmm.
Kyle. Kyle easily swayed Turner one way or the other. Now that's what Monty's doing, and that's why Monty likes Turner. He's able to have
Mm-hmm.
conversations with him. He's able to get Turner to kind of go with whatever he wants. He's not
Mm-hmm.
able to do that with um, Taylor. He'll have conversations with
Okay. Yeah.
Taylor. It'll kind of be straightforward. It'll be open, but there's no like, yes, whatever you want, Monty. It's not those
Yeah,
type of conversations.
because she's thinking and playing this game for herself, not for Monty.
Yeah. So that's kind of what his hesitations are. So when he hears something, he'll run with it. He'll have a logical conversation with her. It'll kind of bring him back down to earth. So he just keeps waffling back and forth when it comes to
Hmm.
Taylor. So that was their
Yeah.
conversation in the car room. Just turned into a full on bash session of Taylor. Um,
Yeah. I lost some respect. I'm sorry. I'm
absolutely,
not sorry, but I did. I was just like, I'm tired of this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then,
Y'all men they get emotional and then drag this woman. Like, stick to the game, and people want it to be seen from their side and what they want to happen, because that is what would benefit you. But you want her to make decisions that would benefit you, and then use those decisions that benefit you to say, but they would be better for her too.
yep, yep. So then Terrance, after that conversation, says, I'm going to have a heart to heart with Taylor. So he has a conversation with Taylor in the car room, just kind of telling her the same thing, like, hey, I don't like, you know, the situation with you, Michael. Brittany kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Okay.
They're just kind of using you. Um, you know, after all the information they divulged last week, Michael still used the veto on Brittany because he didn't want to risk Brittany, but he was fine with you being up there even after everything that
Mm-hmm.
happened, and just kind of bashing Michael and Brittany to her and just saying, I'm going to take this information to jury if I go to jury. And, you know, if anybody sits next to Michael or Brittany, they're probably going to win. So just kind of planting the seed that Michael and Brittany need to be split up, even if just one of them
Yeah.
makes it to final two, that he can kind of sway the jury or poison the jury so that anybody who sits next to Michael or anybody who sits next to Brittany will win at final two. Taylor just did a whole bunch of listening. Like, she didn't really say much that whole conversation because it seemed like she's just done with Terrance. Um, and she,
But that's good. I agree with that strategy
yep. And she tells him,
wholeheartedly.
she was like, "Hey, I see everything. I understand everything. Like, they might be feeding me
Mm-hmm.
information, but that doesn't mean,
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
digesting
not
the information."
stupid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "There's some things, I can't say now, but trust me, I see what's going on," so forth and so on. So he was like, "Okay, that's all I was concerned about. As long as you see what's going on, then we're all good." So that's kind of how that conversation ended. She still doesn't really care much for Terrance. Um, After that, you know, they played the veto. The veto was BB Comics.
BB
Yep,
Comics.
BB Comics.
I love and hate BB Comics.
Yeah.
And yes, I timed out. And no, I don't know how I timed out. And no one else knows how I timed out either. And I tried to ask. And I think they gypped me because I knew exactly the order of those comics and I put them in order and I knew the differences and I fixed those too. Now, whether I ran past that buzzer and didn't hit it after I fixed one of those differences and then thought that I had the wrong answer and went back and changed something else and then hit the buzzer and it was wrong, that could be the case, but I'm not saying it is.
Hmm.
But I should have won. Should have won BB Comics, and Derek F should have never gotten a better time than me.
Derek X, you mean Big D?
Big
Yeah.
D. Derek F.
Hmm.
He had a better time than me. He actually came in second.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But yeah,
I'm not mad about it
no,
at
I remember.
all.
Yeah, Taylor just brought that up. What was it, yesterday? I think she just brought it up yesterday.
Yes. She said, "How did Tiffany time out?" I said, "Girl, it's a ruse.
Yeah.
They lied. Something happened. It's a setup. Don't believe it. Don't believe the hype."
Yeah, and every year is different. I mean, it's not the same thing every single year. I mean, so anything's possible. But yeah, they had BB Comics. Literally, as soon as I was like, whenever BB Comics is, Michael's gonna win BB Comics. Like, it involves athleticism, skill, memory. I'm like,
Yep.
nobody is more athletic than him in that house. Nobody's smarter than him in that house. So you put both of those together, I'm like, there's no way. Just like the puzzle, same thing with the running back and forth and then putting a puzzle together. I'm like, there's no way anybody's gonna beat Michael in this competition. It happened to be BB Comics. Obviously, feeds come back, and it's Michael standing there with the veto medallion around his necklace, as expected.
Tied. Tied for greatest number of wins in a season with the Queen, Janelle.
Yep, his fellow Minnesota. What is it, Minnesotan? How do you say that?
No, you're not gonna get me there. You're not gonna get me to lying about what they call other people.
But yeah, nine,
So no.
9. He's played in that. Just
Nine.
it also goes to show how good Janelle was in All Stars, the first All Stars, because it seems like Michael is winning everything. And
Yeah.
he's played in 14 competitions, I believe it is, and he's won 9. So he's won 9 out of 14.
I
And
think he's won. I think it's 15. Is it not
I
15?
think 15 was Janelle. Janelle won 9
Okay,
out of
okay, okay.
15. He's won 9 out of
Okay.
14.
Okay, I got it.
So they're in the
Okay.
pretty much exact same predicament. He's just 9 out of 14.
Okay.
She's 9 out of 15. So this is BB7, which I watched. This is literally what Janelle was doing to the all-star cast back in BB7, is pretty much just beating them in everything, every single time, like
Give me
Michael
that
is.
key, bitch.
Yeah,
Oh, that was 6.
Janelle
Sorry.
6. But
I just
7,
wanted to say it.
same scenario. But yeah,
Yeah.
he tied the record with 9. And what's crazy is it's not even final 6.
Well, Taylor was only 1 minute behind him, but 1 minute in BB Comics is a long time.
Yeah, but she finished
But she was only
second.
1 minute behind him.
Yeah, she finished second.
But 40 minutes is even longer. Sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, if it wasn't for Michael, she would have won that competition. So Michael wins. They're all talking about the everybody's comics. I think the funniest one to me is, no, I'm not gonna go there. The other one, the Britney one, where Britney was
Is it
used.
reptile dysfunction?
Kyle's was Reptile, but I think they put Kyle instead of reptile. So I think they put like
reptile,
something like that, or
reptile
dysfunction or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject. But the Britney one, where it was like Brit Flea, and it said head itch in charge or whatever, and she was confused.
BB shady as hell,
Yeah,
and they know it.
And what's funny is nobody caught it. Same with like the Kyle one at first. Nobody really understood what that meant. But then they started putting pieces
should have
together.
figured that out.
Yeah, they started putting
playing
pieces
with me
together. Same with the Britney one. Nobody really understood it. Britney was like, "Do I itch myself a lot? Like, am I always itching?" Like, and people were like, "No, I think yours didn't make really any sense. It was probably just a random one." But then,
like Alyssa got mall girl.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't. She's pointless.
Shopping.
Yeah, she's pointless. I don't even remember the other ones.
Let's see.
What's it called? Monte Cristo for the Count of Monte Cristo for Cristo for Monte. They don't really know what that one means. They had like a lot of different.
I don't either. I still don't know what that means.
No, Monte Cristo is like, I think it's a book and a movie or whatever. But as far as what the comic actually entailed, I'm not really too sure. Would have to see it on Wednesday's episode.
I mean, Zingbot said he was boring. There's not really much we could do. You know, they tried to give him something.
Yeah, his zings with Monty being boring. Brittany had crazy eyes.
Take it. That's what he said.
Yeah. Brittany with crazy eyes. Taylor being cold-hearted. Alyssa being dead weight or useless. And one of the things is that Michael pointed it out is when Zingbot repeated it. He's like, "Let me repeat it for you so you can understand." And he said it again. And Michael's like, yeah, he's pretty much insinuating like, "I know you're slow, so let me say this for you again so you get what I'm saying," type of thing. So he's like,
damn,
that's why
slow, dead weight, and useless.
Yeah. So he said it was a double zing. Michael's was pretty harsh, pretty much telling him to like put a mask on. I'm guessing that's from, because you see in I've seen it on Twitter where people talk about like his mouth or something like that. So that's probably what Zingbot meant by.
I didn't get it. It was like, you know, things are changing, whatever. You don't have to wear a mask anymore unless you're Michael. Put a mask on that thing. I was like, what's wrong with Michael's
Yeah, I
face?
think he's talking about his mouth or whatever. Because I've seen people talk
Oh,
about that.
okay. Dang, Zangbot came. Mm-mm.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
those were
can't
fairly
see.
light. To me, the comics were a lot more shady when it
Yeah.
came to Kyle and Brittany. But the Brittany one, Terrance, after I think a DR session,
Mm-hmm.
comes outside talking to Taylor, and he was like, "Hey, I think I know what Brittany's comic was or what it meant." And she was
Okay.
like, "Okay."
Yeah.
He was like, "What does a flea do or whatever?" And Taylor's like, "Oh, I'll make you itch, blah blah blah." He's like, "No, it attaches itself to a host body. It's like it needs to
And gets
survive,
carried.
yeah, and it gets carried. It needs to survive
Yeah.
off somebody else, and it gets carried by a host
Yeah.
body or whatever." And she was like, "Oh my god, no way!" And then the intercom speaker comes on with zing, and that kind of like they started dying. They're like, That's
Yeah.
confirmation that
Mm.
that's what that meant, whatever." So that
Thank you,
yeah,
production.
that was hilarious. Because I didn't even think about that until Terrence brought it up. Because Brittany's been
Yeah.
so concerned about it. She's been like, "Why did
She
they do
hasn't
that?"
figured it out yet
No.
either.
She's like, "Why did they do that for mine? I think that mine was a random." And she was telling everybody, she was like, "Hey guys, I don't think mine meant anything. It was just one of those random ones, like, Ozza being a wizard last year, Kylan
She
being a
did say.
Kylander." She's like, "It didn't
Yeah.
really mean anything. It's just a random."
Yeah. No, yeah, it does mean. It means you're all up on Michael's head.
Yep.
He's carrying you through this game.
Yep. You're
Taylor
attaching
said
yourself
make
to
sure you
Michael.
guys clip that sound bite for her because she wants to see that moment when her and Terrence realized that Brit Flea
Yep.
was really Brittany being a flea. And then, Monty and Terrence also want to become Michael's fleas.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's
Okay.
it
Jumping.
blows my mind. So okay,
So then but you know what? Okay, so then after they get this zing confirmation about Brit Flea's BB comic, then Brittany and Turner, they come outside and then they start telling them about the conversation they're having about the BB comics and that they heard the zing come across the loudspeaker. And I'm like, no, no, just be quiet because you can't say anything in this house without. You can't be evasive. You have to be very detailed. Like, no, explain that to me. Why was it so funny? What do you mean? Who was it about? What were you laughing about? Is that what you were? Because then now it seems like you're lying. Like,
it's being
did
shady
that
at that point,
happen?
yeah.
Because you're not telling me everything about it. Was it about me? I was like,
Especially
no,
when
just don't say anything.
especially the way that Taylor presented it. It was like it was one of the comics that we thought was in question, but we got
Yeah.
confirmation that it's not really a random or whatever. So obviously that's going to make Brittany feel away because one of hers was one of the ones that was in question or whatever.
Yeah.
So she started diving into that, and then she said, "We got a confirmation," and then production was like, "Please do not talk about production," kind of like pretty much telling
Mm-hmm.
her like, "Don't say nothing," type of
Yeah,
thing.
that was for you, dear. That's for
Exactly.
you. Keep some things to yourself. Everything is not for everybody.
Yep. And then after everybody left, Terrence kind of told her, he was like, "I wasn't gonna say anything. It's like that's not for them to know. Like I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
that to myself or whatever." But then
yeah,
Monty comes outside, and then they tell Monty everything. So Monty starts laughing.
yeah.
So he knows about it. But yeah, after and then later on, he ends up telling, or last night, early morning, whatever,
Oh,
he ends up
yeah.
telling Turner about it. So now
Okay.
Turner knows as well. So it's like,
But didn't someone tell Michael?
I didn't see that.
Okay, maybe
I
it
know
was.
that
Maybe it was.
Taylor,
I I
Terrence,
watch feeds in my sleep, so sometimes I have to be sure. I have to keep up with who was telling somebody that I heard that
yeah,
going
there's a
on.
lot of
Just okay.
conversations. I don't
Yeah.
remember that one. I just remember Terrence and Taylor
Maybe it was
and
to
Monty
Turner.
and Turner. I know those four know for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, after the veto, everybody's kind of up late at night. And then it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Turner and what's her name? Brittany are talking in the bathroom and they're just having conversations. And I don't know what it is about this girl, like, just gets paranoid. Every single
Mm-hmm.
week, she thinks next week is doomsday. Since week 1, she thinks the next week is, like, the end of days. Every single time. Even when Michael wins HOH, she'll be excited for 5 minutes, and then the very next thing she says is, "I'm scared for next week." Every single
Yeah.
week. So she
Paranoia is real in the house, though. Paranoia is real, but she's got
can't
like a
act on
different
it,
kind of
though.
paranoia.
Yeah, you can't.
She's got a spiraling
Exactly,
paranoia.
like, same with when she was on the block last week. She was on the block for, like, an hour, and she spilled her whole game to Alyssa, and then
Mm.
the veto was used on her, and she wasn't even on the block anyway. It's like, what did you do all of that for? So, she starts telling Turner everything, and I'm pretty sure it's probably because she's worried next week if Turner wins that he might put her and Taylor up, or he might put her up again. So, she starts spilling information. She starts saying, throwing Taylor under the bus, saying Taylor is buying what Terrance is telling
Terrance is
her
selling.
about why he used a veto. I mean,
She
why
said
he
she
beat
said
her.
that to Michael too. She told Michael that in the storage
She's
room,
telling
like,
everybody.
yeah, Taylor is buying what Terrance is selling, and Taylor is not buying what Terrance is selling at all.
That's what's so annoying about it is she's made it abundantly clear she wants Terrance out. So why does it matter? Even if she believes that it's an apology pick, she's throwing his
Yeah,
ass out.
yeah.
So I don't see why it matters. So she brings that up to Turner. Then she brings up to Turner how she's also buying what Alyssa is telling her about, hey, let's us girls work together, which in itself
Mm-hmm.
is a contradiction. It's like Terrance and Alyssa are against each other. So how is she buying what both of them are selling? She has to vote out one of them anyway. But anyway,
Yeah.
she's like, she's also buying what Alyssa's saying about an all girls alliance, an all girls final three. She's like, I don't really want that. And then she starts talking to Turner about, I don't want to come in second place. I know that if I go to finale with Michael, I'm going to come in second place. If I do this final three with Taylor and Alyssa, they both know that they can beat me, so I don't want to go to the end with them. But me and you, Turner, I feel like is a good battle. And in Turner's head, he's like offended. He was like,
I would be offended.
yeah,
I'm offended for him right
I
now.
would be too. It's like, why do you think you have a chance against me? But he's just kind of going
Yeah.
along with it. He was like, yeah. And she was like, Jasmine doesn't like either of us. Indy doesn't really like either of us. We're both in the leftover. So it can go either way type of thing. So
Hmm.
she's just feeding him BS so that, like, hey, we made a final two last week. So this week, if you're HOH, you won't put me up type of thing. So she's like divulging all this information to him, and she's like, keep this between you and I, so forth and so on. He's like, all right, cool. The next morning, everybody's asleep. So they go to bed at like 6 something.
They made a final two, right?
She pretty much hinted at the final two, like, just, I don't think they agreed. He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see why,
Okay.
like, they didn't name it, they didn't shake on it or anything like that. But
Okay.
they were just like,
She proposed.
yeah. And he was like, oh, I can see that. It makes sense. And he just kind of
Mm-hmm.
entertained her, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at like 6 o'clock in the morning. She wakes up paranoid again the next day, walking around the whole house looking for people and walking in on Michael, and Michael telling her, I don't have time for this. Like, go meditate somewhere else or something. Yeah,
Michael said, "Baby, it's too early. Don't come knock on my door that early. Go
exactly.
meditate or sit in the corner and talk to
Yeah.
yourself."
And she was literally walking around just looking for people. But eventually, Michael wakes up, goes down to the storage room, and she catches Michael in the storage room. This is like at 12 something. And they do what they always do when they get together, which is just go over a billion scenarios and
Mm-hmm.
talk
A
about different
billion of
options.
Britney scenarios.
Yeah. And Michael just kind of sits there, entertains it, gives her some feedback, and then eventually comes back to the same thing. So they talk
Mm-hmm.
about what to do with the veto. So she tells him about, hey, this morning, late last night, whatever, this morning, I had a conversation with Turner. Um, you know, I kind of threw you under the bus to him saying, hey, I can't beat you in a final two. So, I'd feel comfortable sitting next to Turner more than I would Michael. He was like, Turner also started talking to me about the idea of everybody would be down next week to take a shot at Michael. That's kind of been the word around the house is nobody wants to compete with Michael at the end. So she starts telling him about how he kind of tested the waters with what if we vote out Alyssa? And she was like, I thought they were close, but I guess Alyssa's telling me they're
Mm,
not close. Turner's ready to vote her out. Maybe they're not close. And then he mentioned maybe he can have Monty vote with him. And they were like, that kind of confirms to us that they actually are closer than we thought. Turner and Monty do have something. And
yeah. Because Brittany thinks that Turner and Monty have something in that
Monty and Taylor.
Monty and Taylor,
Yeah.
and Turner and Alyssa.
Yep. So she started talking about all that to Michael. It
Michael
seems
in the
like what
storage.
Brittany ideally would want this week is for Michael to
Is
backdoor
Turner
Turner.
gone?
That's
Yeah.
what she
I was thinking,
ideally
yeah.
wants, but Michael knows that that's gonna hurt his game. That's gonna hurt his
Yeah.
credibility.
Because he promised Turner after
Exactly.
Turner put up Kyle that he wouldn't, even if sending out Turner.
Maybe the best option for him, yes.
Yeah. It might be because nobody else is really winning competitions except Turner and Michael. And I know we want to say Terrance won too. Okay, he
He came
won
in second
too.
place.
And I'm not counting that letter opening competition that Monty won. So
Yeah, and the thing with Monty is, I mean, if he takes out Turner, which is the best option for him, if he didn't make that promise, is it splits up Turner and Monty. Now Monty
yeah,
pretty much has to stick with that Final Four, the Brochella Final Four, and then later on down the road, all it leaves for Michael is now he just has to take one shot at Monty, and that's it. There's nobody else that's going to be
yeah.
coming after him. So it's the
But then you
smartest
leave
way.
Terrance in the game.
Yes, but he's not really afraid of Terrance. But he, like I said, he looks at the risk
But
of
he wouldn't
everything
be a.
he does. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying he always assesses the risk of his moves. So he's like,
Hmm.
if I take the first shot, like I said, one of them is going to be available next week when I can't play. One of them was most likely has a great chance at winning HOH. So I don't want my whole game to depend on veto. Even though I can probably do it,
Yeah,
I'd rather
he
still
needs some safety.
exactly. So he doesn't
But
want to take the first shot.
who wouldn't besides Brittany put Michael on the block next week?
Well, he thinks that that's why this is why he ends up saying I'm gonna keep the noms the same. He ends up like they go through all the scenarios. They go through if they put up Turner. He strongly starts thinking about or fake thinking about, well, what if I did Monty if I sent home Monty? So
Hmm.
he's kind of like going through the scenarios with her and then showing her the flaws in those scenarios. He was like, I can't put up Turner. I made a promise with him. That's not an option. He was like, if I put up Monty, that leaves Terrance in the game. He was like, so if I take out Monty this week, Terrance is playing for HOH next week. If he wins, I'm his
He's
target.
coming after. Yes.
If Turner is here, he's gonna play HOH. I'm his target. Taylor now is gonna be mad because we blindsided her with this Monty thing. Now she's gonna be going after me. And then she was like, if Monty is gone, who's Alyssa gonna put up? She's cool with Turner. She's cool with
Yeah.
Terrance. It's gonna be me, you, or Taylor. Probably me.
Hmm.
So he's like, that's why we can't get rid of Monty because Monty and Alyssa don't have a relationship. So
Hmm.
if Monty's here, Alyssa will probably go after Monty next week. And then he was like, same thing if Turner's here. If Turner's here, Taylor's going to go after Turner next week. So it's like, I want to pretty much leave people in the game so that other people have people to target and it's not me.
Yeah.
So he did all of that just to circle back to this and pretty much lay out the flaws. And she was like, yeah, that makes sense. And all of that hour of
I,
talking was pretty much nothing.
I'm so glad that Michael doesn't let Brittany play with his brain.
No, and I think that's kind of why that's why he works with her. It's because he can influence her. Like he can whatever she wants, he'll hear her out. But then at the end of the day, he will always steer the conversation back to what he wants, and she will pretty much agree with him. She's pretty much always done what he has wanted and made her
Yeah,
seem like she has say in what they do.
and she's protecting him because all of this going to Turner, because she's been throwing Taylor under the
A
bus
thousand percent.
and trying to get the target. If anyone is trying to place a target on Michael, she's been trying to get that target moved from Michael to anybody, is but definitely Taylor. And here she's had conversations that have opened the door for Taylor to be a target because Monty and Turner were talking about in a double they should put up Taylor and who, Alyssa?
Hmm. Yeah. So that's what.
But Taylor being the
Yep.
target.
That's what it led to. So after these conversations, fast forward to last night, Michael. After they had that storage room conversation, Michael's like, "Well, I need to touch base with everybody, just kind of see where their head is at, kind of gauge them." He's like, "I'll talk to Monty. I'll get confirmation from him, like, hey, I'm down with the Brochella 4 because he likes to
Mm-hmm.
play a clean game. So if he tells me that he wants to go to Final Four with the Brochella 4 and then he ends up backstabbing one of us, at least he got blood on his hands and we can use that against him in jury or something."
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, "I'm going to gauge Turner as well. I'm also going to talk to Taylor. I know they're probably going to tell me what I want to hear, but I just kind of want to gauge what they're thinking, try to read between the lines."
Yeah.
So he ends up having those one-on-ones last night, and all of them are pretty basic. He talks to Taylor. That he was like, "Yeah, I'm keeping the noms the same." He talks to Terrance, and he was like, "Kind of doesn't expect me to change anything."
Mm-hmm.
Terrance starts being a lot more transparent in his conversation. He tells him damn near everything that went out happened in Direfest.
Oh, he did. I remember
Yep.
that.
So he tells him, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." He was like, "Alyssa did know."
Joseph didn't.
He was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Alyssa did know everything.
Mm.
Kyle told Alyssa everything, so she did know all of that information." He was like, "Kyle was the one that spilled. Kyle, started pretty much an alliance with the us four or whatever." Um,
The after
everybody,
party
exactly. I don't think
that
he
I told
mentioned the
Julie wasn't gonna
name.
make it.
I don't remember if he mentioned the name. Turner mentioned the
Mm-hmm.
name in his one-on-one after. I don't remember if Terrance did. But it was like
Okay.
Kyle initiated this alliance. We all came into the house that we're gonna pretty much go after you. Kyle was pissed off that you left him hanging, so forth and so on. So he was a lot more transparent in everything that happened. Um, and he started implicating Alyssa because at this point he knows pretty much it's Alyssa or Turner, and he starts kind of implicating Alyssa in a lot of the things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had a pretty good, decent conversation. And then the most important conversation was with Turner. So he has his one-on-one with Turner, and Turner pretty much tells him, "Hey," he said, "I don't know if I should tell you this, but like the other day, Brittany approaches me.
Mm-hmm.
She's like trying to get me to take you out. She's good with you going home. She says that the girls are trying to form an all-girls alliance, and them three are pretty much trying to get us guys to target each other, and then they could take out the last person." He was like, "So I think that me, you, Monty should stick together because if we don't, we're going to get picked off. But if we stick together, we could pretty much go back to back to back to back and run this house or whatever." Michael, of course, is thinking in his head, this is like the best news ever. He was like, because
Mm-hmm.
Michael in his position, all he cares about is next week. He's like, whatever I have to
Yeah.
say pretty much for you guys to keep me safe next week. And then he's going to reassess the information when he could play at Final Five. So he's going along with it. He was like, yeah. He was like, "I can't believe Brittany would do that. Like, I will touch base
But
with
she had
her."
told him,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
She had pre-warned him
Yeah.
that
So he
I
already
had
knows
these
this
conversations with
conversation
Turner.
happened. He knows this
Yeah.
conversation
So
happened. So he starts saying, well, if Brittany's talking about this, if the girls are coming together, then it makes sense that us guys stick together and so forth and so on. And then Turner's like, okay, I'm going to talk to Monty about this, kind of fill him in. And then me, you, and Monty can talk either today or tomorrow. So Michael's like, okay, cool. So Turner leaves. Turner ends up talking to Monty last night, tells him the same thing. He was like, hey, Brittany came up to me, said that she wants to go to final two with me. She wants me to take out Michael. Uh, she's saying that Taylor is the one who is down with the all girls alliance with Alyssa and Brittany, but
Mm-hmm.
Brittany isn't really with it. Um, and that starts causing red flags. The guys start getting
Girls,
paranoid.
girls.
Huh?
Girls, girls.
Exactly. I'm like, I wonder who created the girls. Pretty sure it was Brittany who tried to start the all girls alliance, and I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah, it's a
Brittany.
girls 2.0.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Brittany's closer to Alyssa. So I mean, personally, I would have never believed that it was Taylor who tried to start an all girls alliance with Alyssa.
But Monty and Terrance do, and that's what's so annoying is that anytime they hear any information about Taylor, they just eat it up as if it's facts, and then they respond to it and they get emotional about it, and then they start changing strategy, start throwing her under the bus, and then they believe it.
1,000%. Anytime anything comes out about Taylor, they run with it before confirming anything or using their logic to say that doesn't make any sense. It seemed like Monty was kind of on the fence about that last night because he was like, that sounds fishy to me. He was like, why
Mm-hmm.
would Brittany come to you, propose a final two with you of all people, and throw Michael under the bus? He was like,
Mm,
something's not adding up. But
yeah.
still, he kept going back to, if this all girls alliance thing is real, he was like, maybe we can use Michael because if we go against each other, then the girls are going to want to take me out. So he was like,
Well, men be so afraid of women sticking together. Women take note. We
the
we need to get together because we are obviously way more powerful than we think. Because these men are
yeah,
terrified.
and it's hypocritical because last time I checked, Monty was in the Oasis, which is an all guy alliance. Monty was in the Pound, which is an all guy alliance. And Monty now and Turner are trying to start a final three of all guys. So it's like,
And guys always
yeah,
have
let
their
me
alliances. Nobody ever says anything about that. Nobody ever says that's so sexist. You're starting an all male alliance.
that's what's crazy. And it's not like they didn't even do it. I would understand if, like in this scenario, like if the girls had an alliance, so you made a guys alliance to combat it. But it's like, no, you were doing this from the jump. You were creating this before you even knew anything. Like the Oasis
Mm-hmm.
was before they knew the girls existed. The Pound was already there before they knew the girls was confirmed. So it's like, no, you guys were doing this preemptively to begin with anyway. So they start getting paranoid about that. They're like, well, if we get rid of Terrance this week, Alyssa's not really a threat. Brittany's probably the best option to take to final three with Turner and Monty. They want to take Brittany to final three. They're like, so the biggest girl threat is Taylor. So they're like, all right, next week, if we take out Taylor, then we can take out Alyssa. And if the final four is me, you, Michael, and Brittany, I don't know why they would
Mm.
think in a final four that they can beat Michael in both an HOH and a veto against only three other people. But whatever, they're like, if the opportunity presents itself, we take out Michael. And if the final three is me, you, and Brittany, it's cakewalk or whatever. They're like, that looks like the most like golden path for them to go further in this game. So they start accepting
Mm.
that idea, but I don't know why they would believe that if they keep Michael safe next week, that Michael is going to want to take a shot at Taylor or Alyssa before taking a shot at them. They really believed that Michael,
They
like,
believe Brittany, which says a lot because that means that Brittany did what she set out to do. She got the target off of Michael for next week, which she wants to do for whatever reason she wants to do it. That was her intended goal. And
But was it?
she accomplished that goal by moving the target. And
But was it?
she's moved herself up closer to the final 2, 3 seats because now she has painted herself as this person who can't win sitting next to anybody, and they're like, you're right, you really can't, so I should probably keep you longer, because I would beat you. So she had 2 goals and she accomplished them
But
both.
my thing is, was that calculated? Well, like, was that really her goal? Because I feel like
To shift the target off of Michael,
I
absolutely.
think she stumbled upon this because she was actually I think she was actually like she's telling Turner to go after Michael. So that's what she was telling him in that conversation. She was trying to like pretend like she was trying to distance herself from Michael by saying, "Hey, I'm okay at taking a shot with Michael. You know, like I know I can't beat Michael, so
But
forth
that
and
gets
so
her
on."
closer. That gets her another final two.
Yeah, I that part I think yes was planned, but I don't think it was planned that the guys would be so terrified of this girls' alliance that all of a sudden they would want to work with
Yeah.
Michael. I think that was
Yeah.
just an accidental benefit. She was just trying to save
That's true.
herself.
She wanted them to go after Taylor with that
Exactly.
move.
She was like, okay, you guys can go after Taylor and Alyssa since they're in a girls' alliance. Just don't
Yeah.
put me up. If you win next week, Turner, me and you are good. You know, like you can beat me. I feel comfortable, so I won't take you out. But I don't
I
think she
think
meant
Brittany is more turned off by going to the end with Taylor than she is going to the end with Michael.
she's that girl.
She
I really
doesn't she
believe
doesn't want to see Taylor get far at all.
no, I really believe if she had a choice that she would want to take Alyssa. This girl has some weird fascination, obsession, love for Alyssa, and I don't understand it. Taylor can say the same thing that Alyssa says, but she'll react one way to what Taylor says, she'll react another way to Alyssa.
She white.
It's that it's
And I'm just saying, it's different.
mhm,
It's different. It and people can act like they don't know it's different. We black women know it's different.
mhm.
When I curse, when I cry, when I yell, when I laugh, it's all different than when someone who's non-black does it. And I cry. I don't know what they say. It is how it is. And Brittany obviously feels more liking to Alyssa, but she definitely criticized Taylor's BB comic because it was like of Taylor feeding the men, and she was like, if that's how you want to be portrayed, I mean, if that's how she is, I don't know if she'd want to be portrayed like that.
Yeah, it's like that's not something you
Brittany
just
is,
stumble upon. That's something you do, whatever, kind of just taking jabs at
yeah,
Taylor.
Brittany's
Yeah.
jealous. And I said that shit. Brittany's jealous, and it's unfortunate. And hopefully, she will recognize that and not try to play it up as anything it's not. Because you got your head up Alyssa's, you know what, and mm, I'm not praising her for her game, for her social strategy, for her relationship, or any of those things. I'm not dogging her, but she's nobody where I'm like round of applause over here. I'm not impressed.
I think, like, this might be harsh to say. I think she's the most useless player this season and probably in a long time. Like, she hasn't done anything other than sleeping with Kyle or whatever that put her in a position in this game. Like, she hasn't been in the primary alliances. She hasn't won a single competition. Like, I can't even think of, other than getting with Kyle, I can't think of a single move that she has done.
Then why would anyone vote for her in the end?
Everybody's,
So when I said somebody taking Alyssa to the end, why would she get any votes? Is this jury voting based solely on personal relationships?
yeah, I mean, you would know it better than I would. It's just people don't want to take that risk. People are just scared. It's like, yes, if
No, we was
people,
voting on gameplay.
exactly. If you know your cast and you're like, okay, this cast is going to vote on gameplay, then yeah, you would take her. But it seems like they're conflicted.
Mm.
They're like, they like her she wasn't a part of the leftovers. So for her to make it all the way to the end and not be a part of the leftovers,
Yeah.
so forth and so on.
It's easy to be conflicted because the guys on my season thought that the jury was full of too many women and that the women were going to vote for a woman at the end and not be able to assess game. So it all depends on how. I think that's people putting projecting
Yep. They're just like
onto other people.
better safe than
Like that's
sorry.
how you would vote. Yeah.
It's just like better safe than sorry. They don't want to take that risk. They're like, we believe that we should beat her, but what if the jury wants to vote for their friends and she has the most friends in there? It's like, I don't know if I want to take that risk. But
does Brittany want to sit next to Michael?
Brittany does want to sit next to Michael. And
she'd rather lose sitting next to Michael than lose sitting next to Taylor. And that's
absolutely.
That's most situations,
absolutely.
Like in the real world too. Like, and I'm not trying to bring race into it, but it's a fact. White women would rather lose to a man, white men, than lose to a black woman.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And Brittany's showing that. She'd rather sit next to Michael and lose unanimously than take her chances on sitting next to Taylor. But she'll say it's because Taylor has this story that she was targeted from week one. Michael was also targeted from week one. Michael was on the block first week one. And so he's had to save himself and keep himself safe. I would not want to sit next to him. But I will say this. If Michael makes it to the end and he sits in final two, I mean, Michael winning, would be the king. He would be the man to beat. Any guy comes in Big Brother and wants to play again has to beat Michael's record. He will have deserved that win. He will have won his way to the end, obviously.
Michael has definitely played the best game. He just had one misstep, which is that issue last week with the race. That was his biggest mistake.
when he used the issue with Kyle as strategy. I mean, you got to make some mistakes. Damn, you know, it's a game. It's no rules to it. It's not, nobody's perfect, and we're not perfect people. I mean,
that's the only hiccup he's made. If he did not make that mistake, I think he probably beats everybody, including Taylor. He beats her. Now,
can Terrance taint the jury with that information?
I absolutely believe so, because it also depends on how Monty feels. If Monty is gone next week, he said he was pretty much going to back up everything that Terrance is going to say to jury. So if Terrance goes
I would keep Monty in the house.
Yeah.
I would keep Monty in the house so that he couldn't.
Yeah. But if Monty goes, now you have two people relaying the same information. So literally, you know, Kyle is going to be saying that. Terrance is going to be saying that. Monty is going to be saying that. If Turner goes, he's going to be saying that. If Alyssa goes, she's going to be saying that. The only people who would have Michael's back in that situation would be Brittany and probably Taylor. That's it. But if neither of them are in jury,
so one of them need to go to jury and fix it.
Yep.
So, if he wants to win.
Yeah, that's the only issue with him is how much Monty and Terrance follow through with that.
I don't know. I don't know that they can flip it, because I'm thinking about, you've got Joseph you've got Indy in jury, you've got Jasmine in jury, you got Joseph. And then Kyle comes in and says, hey, I'm here. And let me tell you guys why I'm here. Joseph already doesn't like Kyle because Joseph know that Kyle spilled. So he's already anti-Kyle. And so he's probably, and because Indy and Jasmine like Joseph was able to turn Indy and Jasmine to be anti-Kyle. So when Kyle comes in, nobody likes him already.
Yep.
He's going to come in and say, hey, yeah, I said some racial things, because he's got to tell them, because they're going to find out, because everybody's going to come in. So his best bet is to come into the jury house and tell what happened, but he's not going to tell it all, but he's going to tell as much as he needs to for them to, to pad it to his way. They already don't like him before he comes in. Now they really don't like him, but he's going to come in and say, but Terrance did a really good thing, and Terrance really helped me, and Terrance really talked to me, and Jasmine's going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. Joseph is not going to care about what Terrance said to help you navigate this. So Joseph, Indy, and Jasmine are going, yeah, screw you, Kyle, and Terrance. Then Terrance comes in and say, screw Michael. Let me tell you what he did. And they're already like, yeah, we know you on Kyle's side. We're not really on Kyle's side. So we grouped you with Kyle, and we really don't want to hear what you have to
I
say.
agree.
And then,
Monty is the
so I
one.
don't know that
Monty's the one.
Terrance, yeah, it's gonna be Monty that would be able to sway them one way or the
Because if
other.
he
So he
backs up,
probably needs.
yeah, if he backs up both of their stories, he obviously Joseph respects Monty, Indy respects Monty, Jasmine respects Monty. If he's backing up everything that they're saying, I think that will hold some weight. And even they
I'd
don't even
I'd hold on to Monty then to four because the fourth juror doesn't go into the jury house. So I'd make him wait.
yeah.
I'd hold on to him. That way he can't go in and taint the jury
He's
with
literally the only,
Terrance.
yep, he's literally the only one that they would probably believe. But even then, it's like even if you don't get Jasmine, Joseph, and Indy
Indy.
on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So if Michael is sitting next to anybody other than Brittany, Kyle's not voting for him. Terrance isn't voting for him. Turner's probably not voting for him. Monty's not voting for him. If it's anybody
I
other
don't know if I don't know if Monty is. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if Turner is not going to vote for Michael.
well, who is he sitting next to? I mean, if Turner is voting,
If he sits next to Taylor,
Turner might not. But at that point, Turner might vote for Michael, but Kyle
mm-hmm.
still, I don't think is. Monty isn't. Terrance isn't. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what about Joseph?
Monty and Terrance better vote for Taylor if she sit at the
I think.
end. That's
I
the
think.
only way they can redeem themselves um, to the public, to society. It's if Taylor is sitting on in those final two seats and Monty and Terrance don't vote for her,
No,
don't call me.
no. I think they will. I think they'll vote for her. And then now it's Jasmine, Joseph, Indy. Like, I believe that one of those is going to vote for Taylor. I think that Jasmine
Yeah,
is going to vote for Taylor.
yeah.
So,
I think Jasmine will vote for Taylor too.
yeah, so he'd be in trouble sitting next to Taylor. Anybody else,
So he
probably,
doesn't plan on sitting next to Taylor.
no, he absolutely,
Unless he plays a Kyland game and wants to go
no,
against one of the toughest
no,
competitors.
yeah, he's not going to do that. He's not going to sit next to her.
He wants to win the money. He got to take that money back to his husband.
Yeah, he's going all in on trying to take Brittany. And
Yeah,
I think he might even
consider
yeah,
Alyssa.
he might, if the opportunity presents himself, I really think they'll strongly consider Alyssa over
Mhm.
Taylor. I think they might because she's
Yeah.
easier and easier to
Brittany's been
talk.
working on Michael with that, trying to get him to think about keeping Alyssa in the final three over Taylor in the final three because Taylor has a compelling story,
Yeah,
as Brittany says.
so they're scared of her. But that was that. So now Turner and Monty or last night were, hey, let's talk with Michael. Let's stick with that trio. Let's cut out all the other ones because we could beast our way through this. Let's
Mm-hmm.
take out Taylor possibly next. So that's kind of where their mind was at. And
Mm-hmm.
then you could tell that their energy started shifting. Like everybody's in the middle room when they come back in from playing pool. They kind of go out to the middle room. It was one of the most boringest conversations. There's nothing really going on.
Mm-hmm.
There was just it just seemed like awkwardness. And then the guys are trying to talk to Michael. So after all the conversations are over, Monty and Turner are like, all right. And they're like, we're going to go to sleep. But instead of going to the car room, start walking towards the kitchen. And then Taylor is like, where are you guys going? Isn't your bed over here? Like just kind of calling them out on it. And they were like, oh, we're just going to brush our teeth or whatever. So they go to the bathroom. Michael comes to the bathroom and Monty's like annoyed at Taylor. He was like, why is she policing us? Like, she's clocking us. Like, we can't really talk right now because she's onto us if we all come downstairs at the same time. She's going to be extremely suspicious or whatever. Like, why are you asking us what we're doing? Like, okay, mom. Monty makes some comment like that.
Mm.
So they end up calling the meeting off. and they go to sleep. But they met this morning after the veto. So it goes into the veto ceremony. Michael doesn't use the veto. I'm interested to see if they show his veto speech, because Michael said that in his veto speech, he's going to mention how Terrance is going to try to poison the jury. So he wants to
Mm-hmm.
put that in his speech, that Terrance is going to try to poison the jury against him, so that hoping when Terrance takes this video to jury sees that Michael is telling them, hey, pretty much be warned, he's going to try to taint you guys against me, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
smart, so that when he does try to do it,
It's very strategic.
yeah,
He's
when he
the
tries to do
strategic
it,
king.
they can be like, yo, he told us that he's going to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the conversation that they had. I mean, veto ceremony, he doesn't use the veto. Noms stay the same. Then Monty and Turner come upstairs and they finally have that conversation with Michael. They're like, Turner starts it off, brings up the Brittany conversation, says, hey, she's trying to make a final two with me. She thinks she has a chance against me. She wants you pretty much gone. The girls are trying to start a final three. Brittany isn't really down with it, so she's like snitching on them, which Monty says, damn, after the season, like all the girls are going to hate Brittany because she's always snitching on all of the girls. So he was like, she's really going to be hated after the season or whatever. But
The premonition.
yeah, so he tells all three of them, talk about it, mention everything. And then he's like, if us three kind of stick together, we can just go back to back to back, take everybody out. We can easily make it to
Who
the end.
said they can go back to back to back?
Turner saying that him, Monty, and Michael can go back to back to back, which is wild because
Okay.
it's like Turner.
Is it going to be another letter opening contest? Okay.
Turner and Monty combined have the same exact comp wins as Taylor and Brittany combined. Like they have 3. Brittany and Taylor have 3, but somehow they think like they're such better competitors. It's like you guys have won the exact same.
No, Taylor has been right behind Michael in every competition. Almost like Taylor has been right there.
Taylor's absolutely been a better competitor
If Michael
than Monty.
wasn't there, Taylor would be the comp queen.
Oh, absolutely. Taylor has by far been a better competitor than Monty in damn near everything. So I don't know why you
We
think
knew
that.
that.
So they have that
All right.
conversation. Michael is entertaining them, whatever. He's like, yeah. Sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good plan. So they all come to that agreement. Turner leaves first, and then Monty and Michael have a one-on-one. And Monty's like, hey, how do you feel about all of this or whatever? And Michael's like, oh, it makes sense. I'll just kind of try to approach Brittany, see if she tells me anything about this. And then Monty's like, all right, I'll approach Taylor, sees if she tells me anything about this. And we can kind of double back because Monty's like, it sounds a little fishy why Brittany would tell Turner this information of all people. It was like, she hasn't told me. She hasn't told you. He doesn't know that she has. He's like, so why is she telling Turner but not you and I? Michael tries covering for her. He's like, because she knows that she's solid with us, so she doesn't need to.
Yeah, she doesn't have
Yeah,
to earn trust. Yeah,
exactly. So
she
she's
don't.
like probably doing it to Turner because she's afraid of Turner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where their conversation ends. Then Terrance is having like one-on-ones and he's talking to people about trying to get some votes or whatever. So that conversation, he's just counting jury votes for everybody. He's just kind of like, hey, if you sit next to Michael, you're gonna lose. If you take this person, this is how the votes are gonna play out. So he's just counting jury votes for everybody, blah, blah, blah. So
then Monty goes and has a conversation with Taylor outside, right?
Yes. And they're just kind of talking about, he's trying to pretty much test her on if she's going to ride hard for Alyssa.
Brittany. Oh,
Yeah,
Alyssa.
so
In order to keep Alyssa over Terrance, the way he'll see if she's trying to
do a girl
go along with this girl's girl thing.
exactly. So he's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of trying to gauge her. So he was like, "Hey," and he's obviously scared of it. So he's kind of pushing for pretty much Terrance to stay.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Hey, what if we keep Terrance because we've been trying to get rid of Alyssa for how long? She's still here.
Yeah.
Like when are we ever going to get rid of her?" And she kind of, fires back. She's like, "This guy just tried to get me out last week. Like I can't really
Yeah.
forgive that." So she gives him logical reasons why
Mm-hmm.
she wants him pretty much gone.
Yeah. And you too, Monty. You've been in the same boat as Terrance a lot of times.
Exactly. So, and then he brings up, he flat out says, "Has Alyssa pitched to you?
Yeah.
Has she given you a pitch on why she should stay?" And she was kind of like, "Not really." And then he was like, "Oh, okay. So she hasn't really talked to you at all." And then Taylor says, "Well, she did say, hey, us girls should stick together, but, who
Mm-hmm.
cares about that?" So that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
confirmation to
Monty, that she wasn't trying to
that she's not down with
go with
that.
this girl's girl, and that she told him
Exactly. So now that she went out of her way to tell him about, Alyssa trying to
the
have
girls'
a
alliance.
girls' alliance, he
Mm-hmm.
feels more comfortable. He feels more comfortable with disclosing, this information to Taylor. He was like, okay. He's like, "I don't know if I should tell you this,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going out on a limb." He was like, "Since you shared that information with me about Alyssa when I didn't
Yeah.
really ask," he's like, "I'm going to share something with you." So he tells her, he's like, "Hey, Brittany had a conversation with Turner, trying to make a final two with him." And
Spill it.
yep. And he's like, "And she said that, you guys are trying to do this girls thing."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you could tell that Taylor was super thrown off. She was like,
Mm-hmm.
"When did this conversation happen or whatever?"
Yeah, because she trusts Brittany.
Mm-hmm. He started this conversation by saying, how good are you with Brittany? And she was like, "We're
Mm.
locked in, like we're solid or
Mm.
whatever." He was like, "Okay, well, Brittany had this conversation with Turner, trying to approach him with a final two. She's kind of saying that the girls are working together, and that but now since you told me that, I know it's not real, but
Yeah.
this is the information she's telling Turner." And then, of course, while they're having that conversation, here comes Brittany.
Yes,
Brittany
the
comes outside.
hypnotist.
So the conversation ends there. They kind of stop. And then you could see that Taylor has like a lot on her mind. She's not really talking to
Yeah.
Brittany at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she kind of tests the waters with Brittany. She's like, "Hey, have you talked to Turner lately?" And she's like, "No, not really." She's like, "Oh,
No,
so
no
you haven't
game. No, we
really
haven't really
gotten a
talked
chance to
any
talk with
game.
him?"
No.
Yeah.
No.
She's like,
We've
"No."
not talked any
Yeah,
game.
she was like, "Here and there, but nothing really." So she knows at that point,
Yeah.
like, wow, this girl's like
Brittany's
hiding
lying.
stuff from me and like lying to me or
Yeah.
whatever. So Taylor feels a certain way or whatever. You could tell that she was visibly upset.
Yeah.
She even goes,
Brittany gets up, goes in the open room, sits in her
"Yep,
bed to meditate.
yep," and then,
Taylor sits there for a little longer outside on the patio with her
"Yep,
legs, but it's hot. She pissed. Monty and Terrance in the pool talking about who knows what, probably Taylor. I think they're talking about Taylor not having been in the pool this summer,
yeah,
which is none of their business.
yeah." So I think Taylor talks to the camera at that point. She says maybe she's contemplating keeping Terrance because she's like, "How do I get to final three with Brittany and Terrance?" She was kind of
Mm,
saying that to the camera. So kind of maybe seems like she might be thinking of possibly keeping Terrance rather than Alyssa, because when she talked
mm.
to Monty about it, she was like, "Your points make sense, but we got to touch base with everybody, all four of us. The Brochella four
Just
got to
don't
talk."
trust Terrance.
I don't either,
Damn.
but at that point, she's literally looking like I can beat both of them. That's the easiest.
Yes, I would want to think that way. I would want to go to the end with somebody I can beat. And I would hope that me saving Terrance from the block after I would just really have to tell him, like, I'm no dummy. You've been trying to get me out of this house from the very beginning. You've talked a whole lot of stuff about me. You've disrespected, you've degraded, you've been disloyal, you've been everything but a man and a child of God to me. You've not respected me in any way. And the only reason I'm keeping you is because it's probably better for my game and you owe me from here on out. I expect you, but you can't expect him to be nothing. I wouldn't expect nothing from him. I would not expect him to that to be an extended olive branch or anything. This bus driver needs $750,000, and you keeping him in longer is just helping him. He ain't there to help nobody but himself. I
Obviously.
just don't trust
I
him. But I
don't
don't trust nobody in this house, though. None.
I don't think there's any route where there is two people or even one person who probably picks to choose her over another. Like even in that final three with Brittany and Terrance, if Brittany wins, she's probably going to take Terrance. If Terrance wins, he's probably going to take Brittany. If she's with Monty and Brittany, Monty probably takes Brittany. In that case, maybe Brittany takes Taylor. I don't know. But there's not many scenarios where people are going to take Taylor. So it's a hard road for her to final two.
Yeah, I got to think about this for the next episode.
Yeah, that's a hard road. I don't know who's going to take her, but yeah, that was the last conversation. Taylor seems visibly upset. She
Yeah.
buzzes for the diary room. She's like, I know Michael's in there, but I got to get in there right after him.
Mm.
And then she walks
She
away.
kicks her shoes off. I heard those shoes. So I said, now Taylor is usually real gentle. Taylor kicked those shoes off. I heard them hit the floor.
Yep.
She laid in the bed. Yeah.
Yep.
All
She
right.
laid in the bed.
We'll
She
end
thought
there.
about it. And then the last thing that happened is looks like she started a one-on-one conversation with Brittany, kind of just touching base with her, trying to relock in, reaffirm, and just see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I guess we'll see how that conversation unfolds. But that was the latest thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Mohamed. As always, my informed guest, my concise guest.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Tell everyone where we can find you.
On Twitter, it's at It's Only Right I Do, which is ITSONLYRIGHTIDO. And same thing on Instagram.
All right, guys, you can find me on Instagram at Absolutely Gorgeous. You can buy this wonderful t-shirt. The link is in my bio. It's the bonfire link. You can find this merch, and you can also find my other Winner Circle merch on the website as well. The link is in my bio on both Twitter and Instagram. Twitter, you can follow me at Absolutely Tiff. You can catch me back here on the Winner Circle on Mondays and Wednesdays, but occasionally we have a different day. So it was a holiday week and we wanted to put out the information when we know you guys would be looking for it. You can also catch us, the video on YouTube, the Winner Circle. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. And also check out Derek and Cody's recap of the episodes. I suck at recapping the episodes because I'm not watching them all the time, but I am watching the live feeds. And sometimes I'm great and sometimes I'm better. So catch you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.